All right, good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua and I'm going to be your presenter today. Hopefully everybody can hear my audio coming through okay. Well, my CPU says it's 1 minute till 2, but other devices tell me it's 2 or 1 minute after. So we're going to go ahead and split the difference and get started here. Welcome to today's webinar event. The Church Windows Vanco interface event. This is pursuant to our event of yesterday, where we were so thrilled to have the folks from Vanco here offering to do a presentation for Church Windows customers that are interested in e-giving, and certainly in particularly Vanco's services. So we're now looking today at the actual interface in Church Windows when you do set up an account with Vanco and when you're ready to import that data into the Church Windows program. So that's the focus for our event today. We're here for the next 20 minutes, 20 minutes after 2. I'm going to wrap up wherever I am at 20 minutes after. Thank you so much in advance for attending. If you've not attended a webinar event before, you can click the little red arrow on the control panel sidebar there to minimize that control panel, get it out of the way. Or if, commonly these days, if you have a dual monitor set up, just drag that control bar out to your panel out to your second desktop just to get it out of the way. Allows us to get the full visual effect of the webinar presentation today. If you have questions for me, please type those in the questions portion of the webinar control panel. I was asked before, yes, we do keep everyone muted. If everyone were unmuted, you wouldn't even be able to hear me talk. There'd be so much white noise from all the devices kind of funneling into the webinar. So I will do my best to keep an eye on those questions. I will try to find an appropriate spot during the event to answer them. If I don't, then I'll certainly be happy to answer those after the topic at hand concludes, wherever that occurs, and we'll see what we can do to get those questions answered. Finally, under the handouts portion of the webinar control panel, we have the 3 PDF files that were provided by the Vanco folks yesterday, one of which is the Partner Importing Guide for Church Windows, which similarly covers what we're covering in Church Windows today. It's just written by the Vanco folks. It's their document that they distribute to their customers that use Church Windows. We're working more hand in hand with the Vanco folks with regards to that. We do consider them a partner vendor of Church Windows, and so we rely on one another to help support you as the Church Windows customer and Vanco customer. So if you want those handouts, expand that, print out those PDF files. I believe I was asked earlier if there's an offer that they have for Church Windows customers. There is. I'm going to see if I can't find the URL here before we conclude here today, and I'll see if I can't find that, and have a display on your screen for you here. So let's go ahead and get started. So the assumption and the point that we're picking up here today is the assumption that you've set up your account with Vanco. You've got your members and visitors are giving, however many that is, 1 or 10 or 20 or 50, it doesn't matter. They've sent you a file that you're now ready to import into Church Windows, okay? So when we go into Church Windows donations, we find this by going up to donations in the upper left corner, and in the top center we see the little bag of money with the arrow on it called Import Donations. Hopefully everybody should see my little drop-down menu there. Let me steer some focus with my highlighter here, right here, Import Donations, and it's a menu. So let me get back my regular drawing tool. When we click that, it brings up the half a dozen vendors that Church Windows donations imports from systematically or automatically, as well as the general text file. And of course our top one is Vanco. Vanco, really great folks. So when we click on Vanco, it opens up our Import Donations from Vanco screen. And there are 4 tabs here, as I like to point out. And I also like to mention as well, okay, I'm not sure if this will work here. So we're going to try it. F1, I don't know if the help files are there. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Yeah, they are. So here we are. Even though this is we do have version 20 installed on this machine, folks. It's not released yet. But right here, I've hit F1 on the keyboard and import donations, and it brings up our help file on import donations, okay? And it brings up exactly the same screen that we're using here, pretty much with all of those vendors and everything else. So, F1 is always a very helpful way to access the help files when you're on a particular screen in Church Windows. And in this case, importing donations is no different, okay? So, the thing that's important to understand about this is that, we're talking about two different databases. Vanco's database with the information about your givers, the giving accounts, the amounts, and the dates. That's the four components of an import file that are required in Church Windows. Okay, there's a date associated with it, a giver, an amount, and a giving account. Okay, so the components of that you really need to focus on and really need to take care of are these tabs across the top here called Setup Givers and Setup Giving Accounts. When someone goes into and says, okay, I'm going to create an account with Vanco, or I'm going to give through them, Vanco's system assigns that person or that individual or family a number, okay? It's systematically assigned by them. That's the number that in their system is going to be the one that identifies them as the giver for your church, okay? It's a unique ID number, okay? Same thing, there's a number that you set up or is identified in the Vanco system for the accounts that the church is wanting or people are giving to through the Vanco system for, again, your church. Okay? So when we click on Setup Givers, let me get my normal drawing tool back here. We notice here we see every person in our members or in our database here in Church Windows, whether it's members or visitors or donations, givers. Everyone in the software is a potential giver, okay? And we notice that each one of those people on the right-hand side has a Vanco customer number, okay? This is where you enter that number from the Vanco system, okay? And I know some folks are probably thinking, well, how do I get that information? You can obtain it from your Vanco account at the Vanco website. I was informed by those folks yesterday that there is a way for you to be able to print the report of the current customers who are giving to your church electronically through Vanco that you can print out with their customer number. And then when you come into this system, you can simply find that person and key in their respective Vanco customer number. Okay. Similarly, when we click under the Setup Giving Accounts, again, we've got a column called Vanco Fund ID that is basically, again, the Vanco Fund ID number that Vanco sets up in their system that identifies the giving accounts that you've set up that your members and visitors are giving to. Okay? So one fun thing about this that I learned from the Vanco folks yesterday when they were here with us was, while their system will set up defaults for both these Vanco, these setup givers and the Vanco setup giving accounts, the Vanco Fund ID and the customer ID, you can change them. So you can go into their system and you can identify or change those numbers in your Vanco account to whatever number works for you for either the Fund ID or the giving or the giver. Okay? So while their system does set that up by default, you can change it. So, just an FYI is what many churches will do, or some of our users will do, is they'll go in and they'll set up the giving Vanco Fund ID with the same number, giving account ID number that they've set up in Church Windows. Makes it pretty kind of foolproof at that point, frankly. And the same is true when we're talking about the givers. If the church uses giver envelope numbers or giver numbers, they'll frequently come in and set up the Vanco customer number with whatever their envelope number is. Now, if your envelope numbers change each year, that means you do have to kind of come into your setup givers and change that, okay? So you kind of have to weigh whether you want to use the envelope numbers as the means of identifying your Vanco customers and who's giving electronically or not. Because if they do change, you will have to change them in here too. But you don't have to. The envelope number and the Vanco customer number are in no way tied together directly. Okay, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. Okay, and as people, of course, are continuing to enroll, and register and sign up for electronic giving, as more people do, you'll have to come in here and update and add those people into your database and enter their Vanco customer number here. So I'm being asked, so the Vanco customer number looks like it's 10 digits, so we can assign whatever number we like. Yes, that's true, Paul, from according to what I'm hearing from the Vanco folks that they told me yesterday, that while their system by default sets up the number, you can go in and change it. Yeah, the customer, as far as I'm aware, in Vanco's system never sees that number. That's just an identifier in their system for that giver. Your account with Vanco is your account. Each one of these churches has a specific group of customer or Vanco customer IDs that are unique to their particular account. Okay? So yeah, I mean, when somebody comes into your church, you would right here, you've got your giver menu. If you click the little plus sign next to that, it opens up and says, hey, do you want to add a membership individual? Do you want to add a donations group or add a donations individual giver? Most of the time you're going to add them to memberships, so you would just click add membership individual, and it opens up the add new member individual screen. Okay? And you can just set them up there. Once they're entered here, you can just simply type in, whatever Vanco customer number you have right here. Okay? It's that simple. And the same is true for our setup giving accounts. Okay? So, yeah, and again, if you need to add a giving account, again, right here, you would click the plus sign. It'll open up and allow you to add a new giving account if you wish. Okay? It's literally that simple. Okay? So, here we are. Again, we think we've got our givers and our IDs, our giving accounts set up with Vanco ID, fund IDs, and the customer numbers. We're now ready to import our file. Okay? So we've received our first text file from them. We would go to select import donations, the tab, and we would click the select import file. And, we would browse to the location where the file is. It's now remembering the last location where I had it on my thumb drive, but wherever you saved that text file from their email, you would browse to that location. In this case, I've got one called November 2017 example. And when I click OK on that and click open, it now then, notice it's jumping me over to the tab called Unmatched Items from Import. Okay, right here. So what that's telling me is I have a giver in the system that isn't linked to under setup givers to there, so it has a gift that's been received that it doesn't know who to associate or post that record to in donations. And also I've got a giving account that is unmatched as well. So the Vanco Fund ID shows up in the text file, but it's not linked in Church Windows. I have to tell it which giving account 0004 belongs to. Okay? I mean, it'll tell you, folks, if you don't have something linked, you're not going to be able to import anything in that particular file. Okay? And it's this simple. So simply I would click in my highlighted giving account. Notice there's a down arrow, and I would simply scroll through and choose the respective giving account that 004 belongs to. It's literally that simple. So we're going to say it belongs to our flowers. And over here under our Vanco Fund ID, same thing. When I click the down arrow, it's my giver list. I can type in a name if I know who that is. Again, I might have to go back to the Vanco's website to find out what that Vanco ID, who that belongs to. Then I can find that person in my database. Okay? So I would simply scroll down or type in their name, and we're going to go, okay, it belongs to, Jake Knox. Okay? Now I've got those linked. Okay? And it tells me, do I want to save? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You got to click the Save Match, Giver Matches, and Save Accounts. But notice I didn't, and it still asked me if I wanted to save them. Okay? So if I click Save on that, now notice it jumps me back over to my selected import or my imported donations batches and reveals the 2 dates that I have in my November batch dates with their givers and their respective amounts. Okay? It's really pretty seamless, once you've got it set up, folks. And again, it's really difficult for us to make mistakes. if there was even one giver that's not matched, it's not going to allow you to get to this selected, create this bad list of donations that are in that file. Okay, so I'm being asked, how do you know what fund is the Vanco ID? Do you give them a list at the start? Yeah, I believe that's how it occurs, Armin, is that you would go to there and you would set up as part of the establishment of your account, which accounts you're wanting to set up and associate that your members and visitors are giving to. Yeah, that's part of the setup. So once I see the donations, I would simply click Create Donations now in the upper right-hand corner. And it now opens up my Imported Batches window with the respective dates, again revealing the givers and their amounts, with the payment method automatically being assigned of EFT. It doesn't even require that we go to enter donations here for this, because again, Vanco already told us which giving account the gifts are being posted to, how much they are, the dates tell us exactly the date, and the amounts. So it has everything it needs. All we have to do now is simply click Post Batch at the bottom. So if I now choose November 20th and click Post Batch, it tells me it's falling on a non-standard or some non-Sunday date. I'm good with that. Many times those EFT or electronic giving dates are non-Sunday dates, but it allows me to continue. So I would click Yes. Then it posts it. I would choose my next date. Similarly, click Post. Again, it's going to pop up and tell me it's not a Sunday date. Would I like to continue? And they're posted. Okay. All I need to do now would be to close out of my Import Donations window from Vanco, go up to my donations, maybe up to something like Posted Batches. Here's my November 20th and November 25th dates. I can now click the Print Batch button, and it opens up and allows me to print my batch report for record-keeping purposes if I wish. Okay? Yeah, again, folks, it's not terribly difficult. The hardest part about it is the setup in the file is, again, as long as you know what to look for when you're getting that unmatched items from import window, you again may have to go into Vanco's system in order to obtain the necessary information you're needing, particularly, if there's an unmatched giver. It's telling us that, hey, we've got somebody that's giving new this week, so we're going to have to get them either added and linked up in our membership database or something in order to know where that giving is posted or going to, who it belongs to. Okay? So yeah, now I've got my November 20th batch. I could go to my columns and what have you and change whatever columns I'm wanting and click Print. And here's my batch report for November 20th. I would simply print a similar one for November 25th. Okay? So that's it, folks. We're about 18 minutes into it. Let's see what questions we have here. So let's see, something that I haven't answered already here. So let's go down. The amount given to Vanco via credit card is reduced by the fees before it's transferred to our bank. How do you deal with that? Yeah, Elaine, that's something we're not going to be able to get into today, but basically donations doesn't record negative amounts. So they're going to receive the amount that's given prior to the fees. We would then transfer that over into accounting, and we would deal with all of that in accounting directly, how that would work. That's a different webinar event. We also have information about how to handle Vanco creditor fees on our website. I'm going to leave it at that, if that's okay. Or please call us in support. We're certainly happy to cover that. For a fundraising event, tickets paid through Vanco, I don't want to set up accounts for these 100 or more people in CW as their way to import without doing this. That's a great question, too. The only way to do that, Catherine, in there would be to basically kind of use like set up a clearing giving account through Vanco, where maybe then you link that's all linked to a miscellaneous giver or like a loose offering giver that you set up in their system through which that occurs. Yeah, that's the only way to do it. They've put into their suggestions database that you only want to create a text file that includes certain giving accounts or givers and omits others. But at this point, yes, there are certainly at this point some challenges that come along with that. But at this point, setting up a giver called like loose offering or some event offering a particular giving account for that particular event, call it tickets or something, and then that tickets can be all linked to one particular giver. That's the workaround that they suggested to us or to me in the meantime. Okay, so next is when you do this, has Vanco now updated the giving records in church windows? Yes, yes, it's now posted, Ermin, to these folks, giver records. It's going to appear on their giving statements. Assume the giving accounts are checked to print on statement. They're all in church windows. The transactions are posted. It's a done deal. Yeah, and I can now transfer it over here to accounting. I've got my November 20th and 25th dates. I can transfer it seamlessly over into accounting similarly. Yeah, really quick. Next question. It looks like you could also print prior to posting for advanced audit. Is that true? Yes, that's true, Paul. Why I prefer to print them afterwards is because the transaction numbers are there. When I print it pre-posting, the transaction numbers don't exist. To me, yes. If you would want to audit those before posting it, yes, definitely print it beforehand. It was at that imported batches screen. There was a print button at the bottom you could print. But I would definitely want to print it afterwards so I have a record of the transactions that were created on my watch when I had imported them and posted them. Next question. Where does information on the fees Vanco charges go when the import is done? I'm not sure I'm understanding that question, Patricia. I'm sorry. Where does the information on the fees Vanco charges go? Well, it doesn't. Church Windows doesn't import anything about the fees whatsoever. So if, again, someone's given a $100 gift and they've agreed to offset those costs of a 3% fee on that, Church Windows is going to import $103. The giver is going to receive credit for the $103. That's going to transfer over to accounting. We're going to deal with the fees all over in accounting there. In there. That's as much detail as I can really get into at this point on this. Again, I'm not prepared to deal with that today. We might have another webinar on that out on our website on that. Michelle's asking me what's the URL. Let me see if I can find that, Michelle, on the website here. It wouldn't be us. It would be www.vancopayments.com/church space windows or church-windows. There it is. Yeah. So it's right here. You can just go to like I did, www.vancopayments.com/church-windows. Let me see if I can paste that to everyone in here. Copy, paste. Let me see if that put that in. Oh, it put it up there under Elaine's there, but everybody should be able to see that under your under the answer to the question that I had about this. This basically is a specific page set up and constructed by Vanco for our customers. They're offering, I think, 3 months of no service fees for them for the first 3 months if you're setting up an account for the first time. Electronic giving fee account, and fees are then posted to that fund. Okay, that's great. Is that when you're saying you set up the account, did you set it up, Catherine, in donations or in accounting? I guess that's the question. We're talking about two different places. You can certainly edit that, but if it's, provided you have it set up and it's identified in their system with the two separate accounts, then by all means, it makes it certainly quick and simple if you've got it that way. You bet. That's a great idea. Yeah, great. Perfect. That's a really wonderful way to deal with it. Set up a specific giving account in donations called, Vanco Fees. Then make sure that that's set up under your Vanco, under your setup giving accounts, that you've got those two there. And as long as Vanco separates them, there's two separate accounts there. That should work perfectly. Great idea. Good suggestion. I'll suggest that to my techs. Great. All right. Lots of great questions. Very good. Really appreciate those. Those are great. Again, we are recording this particular webinar event. I think this URL that I included is also included on the actual Vanco, the other two PDF files that I included under handouts, folks. So if you print those or save those to your local machine, I believe that URL is also there on those as well. Otherwise, we've gone a little bit long here, but we didn't really talk. We were done with the topic at hand before then, or at before 20 after. We hope it's been helpful. Again, this video will be out on our website here at some point in the next probably couple weeks. I believe we actually have something out there on our website already about this, folks. If I go to supporting and support center, or under the partners page, and I click under search here, type in keyword Vanco and search. Yeah, CW Vanco interface version 17 or newer. It's the same thing, folks. It's basically exactly what we're covering here. It was something we did. I think I even presented it back in May earlier of this year. So, great. I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for everyone. Again, we hope it's been helpful. Please contact us if you have any questions or problems whatsoever. And again, we hope it's been helpful, and we look forward to seeing you all at another Church Windows webinar event. All right. Thanks. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.